time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. Steve-O, JB, B. Hudson, and T. Swin. Gon' get your mind right, let's dive in the deep end and attack the issues and problems that hound us today. Yeah, we out here in the field, but we ain't coming to play. We all shepherds trying to keep the flock from going astray. If you wanna be the change, then let's be it today. Now there's always obstacles that's gonna get in your way, but it's important how you handle it, maneuver and pray. We keep you up to date with current affairs. We all know that the structure been broken, so let's make the repairs. There's a culture trying to cancel us and give you a spin, but you can come and get the truth from this panel of men. We on 10, going in, let the speech be free. We about to knock down the doors, you can keep the key. God first, then man, so let's execute the plan and deliver the message so the people can understand. Like, the time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. The time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. Men can't always be. Men can't always be. Men can't always be wrong.
What's up, everybody? Back again. It's the Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast, brought to you by CTR Media Network. And this is your guy T. Swin. Tonight we have a really good show. It's going to be very informative. We have a special guest, really cool individual, man. Super energetic, brings positive energy wherever he goes. So I'm going to introduce my other host for the show.
It's your boy JB. I'm gonna keep it really short, man. We got a really good show, man. A lot of good information is gonna be on this show. So you might well get a pen and piece of paper.
Hey, peace and blessings. I'm excited about tonight. This is going to be a good one as always, and looking forward to chopping it up with our guests.
Hey, what's up, ZLDC1? Hey, shout out to everybody that's been supporting the podcast. And yeah, we got Mr. Mario Armstrong in the building. So it's going to be a podcast, like I say, pull out your pens, your pads, everything's going to be a lot of information out here. And I ain't going to do too much talking. I'm going to be listening myself. I know everybody used to me talking, but I'm going to take in this information like everybody else. So, you know, congrats and salute to all the gentlemen on the show too, man. Salute to y'all, man.
Yes, sir. Back at you. And man, now our special guest of the evening.
Yo, what's up, fam?
Mr. Mario Armstrong. What's up?
Swin, we've been trying to get this set up for a minute, right?
Yes, sir. It's been some time. Man, we appreciate you stopping by and coming on with us.
Man, this is a big deal. I appreciate you all taking out the time in your show. You could have had any guest on the show, but you decided to roll with me, so I appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We all about spreading good energy and positive information and energy, man. So, Mr. Armstrong, man, so give some background on yourself.
Man, I mean, the quick background would be, you know, I'm a husband, married to my wife for over 10 years, over 15 years, actually. And we got a son named Christopher. And my wife and I are actually in business together. We went broke pursuing our dream and really fought through that, just like everybody else. Everybody's gone through some kind of dip or some kind of what feels more permanent than temporary at times. But everybody's gone through something that has really kind of pushed you to your limit. And that was us. Other people have had worse situations that we've had, but that was our bottom. That was our low when we were out of money, when we were bankrupt and my mother-in-law was paying for our groceries. My godmother was paying for my train tickets. I'm a Baltimore boy, born and raised in Bmore. And we had a lot of opportunity that I was kind of cooking up at the time in New York and trying to get onto these TV networks and all these media places, because I was like this person that could talk about tech in a way that was really accessible to a lot of people. So I was able to break down technology in a way that was really understandable. And at that time, there wasn't really anybody else. There was only like myself, maybe Omar Wasso, a couple other people. Very few people that was doing this. So it opened up a lane, but I didn't have any money to really execute the lane. So what's worse is when you know you got something of value, of something of a talent or a gift to share, but you're having trouble executing it because you don't have the resources or you don't have the access. And I just think that my story is kind of testament to not giving up, being resilient, and being creative. Damon John, who is now like a friend and also a business partner. He says in his book, you know, it's the power of being broke. When you're broke, you got no other choice but to get creative. Like a lot of people don't know, that same FUBU t-shirt that was showing up in music videos in the 90s was like one of 3 t-shirts that he had. He didn't have a line of them. He was just washing that same old sweaty ass t-shirt and putting it on another rapper and throwing it on a video shoot. People don't know that. So it's like they think that, you know, everybody was wearing something fresh. Nah, he was recycling stuff. Like, I got to get that back after the shoot so I can take it to the next one, try to get some more free marketing. So everybody's been through something. And I'm just happy that, you know, we kind of persevered through and we started building. For those that don't know, I create content for entrepreneurs and creators. And we teach you all how to everything from how to build your business, to build your personal brand, get into the media, and how to get access to money from corporate sponsors. And that's when we unlocked that, things started changing for us. When we started understanding how to get funding from that non-traditional source, instead of just going into our credit cards or trying to get a loan or family and friends, that's when we really started getting some steam behind us. Because I was like, oh, wait, I can create an idea and I can sell the idea and I can convince a brand to sponsor it. So I can actually get some of this money up front for the idea. And that kind of changed everything once I got kind of in on that particular angle. And so now today, you know, we got a couple of Emmys that we've won for some of the shows that we've created. And this is just kind of a testament to, like, it's really not about the Emmy more than it's about like persevering your dream and just kind of sticking through and staying, you know, straight resilient. Because when you get knocked down, it's hard to get back up, but you got to know who you're fighting for. And I think we knew who we were fighting for, and that's why we were able to rise back up.
So where did I would like to know, because I have a lot of quotes in my life, and you use the quote, never settle. So I want to know what brought you to the quote, never settle. Like, what happened in your life to say, hey, I'm never going to settle? Because, you know, a lot of people settle. A lot of people get stuck in their ways. A lot of people stuck in situations and say, man, I'm going to just settle and try to bump this. So what happened in your life that made you go with that quote, that made that a powerful quote for you in your life? Yeah,
bro, that's really a great insight because, I mean, look, it's easier to not have ambition. Like, it's just easier. It's easier to not have ambition. The problem is many of us know something about us that we're great at. We know we got some kind of gift. We know we have some talent, whether we want to believe it or not. Somebody else has told us. Some of us actually know what that is. And so when you actually are being true to yourself and you know that, then it becomes difficult. I think the hardest thing for a human being is to actually know what they're good at, but not be able to see how to execute it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's gotta hurt. Yeah. Like, you know, you can sing, but you have no idea how to get your music out there or how to build it. You know what I mean? You got people now like Toby and Wigway, you got LaRussell, you got other people kind of showing the way of like how you can do this now, but you didn't really have that several years ago. Really, you just didn't. You had to get signed if you really wanted to pop. So I think for me, what happened was one time I was on Twitter, man, and I said, I wish I could find, I need to go and try to find this tweet. I think we actually saved it as an image, but I got to go and look in our Google Drive to see if it's there. But I remember typing up this motivational tweet, and it was just like we were right in the grind of people telling us no to the show idea that we were launching. We were trying to launch a talk show that was going to have a live studio audience, but it was going to be all about entrepreneurship and telling stories about really people of color, but also other people, but mostly people of color and their stories as it relates to being an entrepreneur. Right. But we want to do it with a live audience, live interaction, people watching live online, as well as being live in studio. And so it was a big production for us at that time. And I remember like getting told no by some of these networks that I had already built a relationship with. And I remember tweeting, and I was just like, if you believe in what you believe in, you got to put the work in. It was something like that. It was some kind of rhyme that I did. And then I was like, hashtag never settle. And then nobody paid attention to anything I said in the tweet. Everybody came back with like, yeah, never settle. Yeah, never settle. And so we saw like this like response to those two words. And we were like, yo, what is that? Like, we just tapped something. And so at that point, I think we just adopted it. And that's when we started the Never Settle Club. And that's when we started really just focusing in on what does it mean to not give up? Hashtag never settle.
No, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
But that really all comes from watching my dad, you know, as a Baltimore kid, being raised, for those in Baltimore that know, like being raised over by Mondawmin Mall and Druid Hill. And these are places where Drew Hill came from and stuff like that. Like, not too far from where Freddie Gray riots happened, which is called an area called Penn North. Like I live like around, grew up around the corner from that. But then like my dad was always on that, like, I got to get us to bigger and better, right? I got to get us to bigger and better. And I just remember watching my dad go broke, pursuing his dream of like trying to create a Motown in Baltimore at the time. And he had a couple of music groups under him, and they did get to travel, because I remember a Christmas or two when he wasn't there, because he was in Tokyo. He was in Japan with the group. But it didn't work out. Like, he just didn't get those hits that really could send it off into a whole other thing. And watching him be able to kind of bounce back from pursuing that dream, having to claim bankruptcy. I remember riding around with him in the car, and he would go looking for home. Like we barely making ends meet, and he's looking for new homes, like in new neighborhoods that I don't even know about. Like, he was just on that kind of level. And I think that impressioned me as a young Black male. I think it just made me see, like, yo, you can really do what you think you can do. You just got to really have a vision for it, and you got to take some steps towards it.
Man, I think your dad gave you something that you just said happened in your future, because just like you said with the Fubu, with the Fubu shirts, he had to fake it till you make it, right? And I think your dad, and I do the same thing with my son. I show them stuff that I really can't afford, or really, but I try to show them, say, hey, you can do this, even though I can't. In my head, I'm like, man, I really can't. Like, sometimes I got a family of 7 or 8. I know if I go out to eat, it's $200, $300 plus. Take
Right.
I do it, but in my head, I'm like, man, they don't know I'm straining. Like, I'm trying to show them, you know what I'm saying? You can do it. It's a better life without showing them I'm straining for it. So I think that was a
man, LDC1. That's powerful, bro. I talk about this often, that we gotta exposure.
Right.
Like, yo, everything that we've become is because of exposure. So the more we can expose, and I mean everything. So sometimes we just gotta taste something that we can't necessarily afford. We need to taste it. I remember the first time I was like, yo, I'm gonna bump up this damn coach ticket to first class. I need to understand what's going on up there. And this the
right.
I was straining to do it, right? I was straining to do it. And then when I did it, I was like, wait a minute, I get on the plane first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get to start working or doing whatever the hell I want to do while everybody else is still loading on the plane for a good half hour, 45 minutes. Then I get drinks if that's what I want. They take my jacket, all that good stuff. I get off the plane first, so I don't have to worry about missing a gate. So wait, everybody up here don't look as stressed. The people in the back trying to grab their luggage. Can I get in front of you? Because my gate, my flight, I got to catch the. You know, I was like, yo,
they be the happiest people in the world.
So I was like, I need to fly like this forever, but I needed to taste it. And after I tasted it, I was like, how do I recreate that? The part is, I couldn't do it right away, right? Like, I couldn't continually do that, but I tasted it. And once I tasted it, I understood that was a new goal. And now it's like, yo, I'm not, unless I have to fly coach for some reason, because there's no connecting flight or something, I'm trying to fly straight direct and only first class. Next one is private jets, but we ain't there yet, but that's next.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
Even if it's on a timeshare, I'll take the timeshare on a jet. I ain't got to own the jet. I'm not trying to stunt like that. I don't have to flex.
For real, bro.
It's enough to get on the timeshare of a jet. All right.
Yeah, I just need a few pics. That's all. I just need. For real. That's that Bow Wow pick, man.
Exactly.
That was Bow Wow. That was the Bow Wow pick.
And he didn't have to do that, right? Like, we always just assume he's doing something, right? So like,
thanks.
Exactly.
Big.
Man, now that was a quote you posted. There's a quote you posted recently, man. It said, "It's not that you don't have the resources you need, is that you need to know how to structure deals with the people who have the resources." When did you figure that out for yourself?
Yeah. Damn, that's a good one. Not because it's mine, it's just a good one. It's just like that, because that really is it. I think I was always studying how people moved. I don't think that there was a time later on in my life, as I got, I guess in my like late 20s or whatever, that I was really like kind of focused on that. But I think early on, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I think I was just studying people, and I was just studying people that seemed to have their stuff together, and studying people that seemed to be moving in spaces and doing things that interest me. And I just became like a heavy student. I think that was partially because my dad was really on like reading. And so he was like, who are you studying? Like, who are you interested in? What are you trying to do? And he would be like, you should get a book on that, or you should read a magazine on that. And so I think understanding when I really saw the inside is when I got on to the Today Show. When I finally got onto the Today Show and hustled to get like this one-shot opportunity, I saw like, first off, I just saw like how much activity was going on set. Secondly, I saw like how much money was moving in terms of like what's going on set, who's coming on, what's going out, lights, camera, editing, all this stuff that's happening. People doing wardrobe, makeup, hairstylists, security, like the whole thing. And at that point, I realized, oh, it's actually about knowing how to access the resources and knowing how to access the rooms than it is more in some cases than knowing the actual stuff. Like knowing the stuff is important because once you get a chance to show who you are or what you're about, you want that to come through, that you've been a student, that you know what you're talking about, that you got some level of expertise or passion. But I know plenty of experts that don't know how to access a room. I know plenty of experts that don't get brand deals. I know plenty of people that have triple the following that I have, but don't get the brand sponsorships that I get. So I realized like there's something off balance about this. How am I able to access? And then I realized it's like, oh, I've been studying how these deals are made. Oh, I've been studying how to actually be profitable in my industry. A lot of people try to study how to get into the industry, but they don't study necessarily how to be profitable in that industry. And I think once I really started studying the deal making and the deal structure, it educated me really quick. And then you say like this, fake it till you make it. And I say like, act as if. So I just started acting as if I knew. And I just act as if I knew what the deal structure should be. I acted as if I remember when Russell Simmons was talking about what's his name that came to him? Birdman. Birdman came to him. And Birdman came to him and basically was talking about his label and was talking about Wayne and everybody else. And he was trying to structure a deal. And Russell was like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, there's no way you get to own 90% of this situation. And Birdman was like, I don't understand. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm the one with the beats. I'm the one with the production. I'm the one with the people. I'm the one with the staff and the team. Like, what are you talking about? And so Russell said the fact that he didn't know actually gave him a leg up. So I was always torn by like, how much do I need to know versus how much should I also kind of be ignorant? And then I was like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to know, and then I'm going to act dumb. So I took both of them and kind of mixed it together. I was like, I'm going to learn what I need to learn, but then I'm going to act like I don't know so they can try to fool me, but then they're going to realize they can't. But by that time, I'm already in the door. So now we in the negotiation phase because we done got to that part. So now it's about, do you really want to kill the deal? Because we got all the way down to this part. And now you found out that, oh, damn, he knows a little bit about this industry. He's trying to really finagle himself in a way that can position himself better.
Here's my question for you. When you talk about vision and a person like myself, I know my vision, I know my purpose in life. But then knowing what I come through, my lane that I'm in, I don't think there's no lane. No one can come into the lane because it's a whole new lane. And this lane is just dealing with restructuring the way police deal with citizens and how citizens deal with police, and getting the effective help and assistance to citizens in a way that police can't give or don't give. And what I have, it could be implemented right now all over the country, anywhere in the world, that can immediately help people in a time of need, proactively and reactively, against any solution of crime or any problem, even dealing with police. And then there's a way that is so set up that every community in every zone area can get a specific police officer instead of having to deal with all these other different officers coming to your community or to your problem and you don't know who they are. So now that I know I have these expertise, I know my vision, I know my purpose in life, because there's no one in policing that's ever done what I've done ever in policing in and of itself. So now how, with that lane, when nobody's there, how can I bring that vision, or a person like me, bring a vision into an atmosphere that is it's never existed. If that makes
man. I mean, when you got a vision when you have a vision of something that already like doesn't exist, the resistance to that vision is going to be super heavy.
Oh, it's already, trust me. You just hit it on the nail.
Because they're going to say it could have been, if that could be the case, if we could have done, it would have already been done. So I think when I hit situations like that, the one thing that I've seen, because we as a society, unfortunately for a lot of us, we've been addicted to acceptance, meaning we have to do something in order to try to get accepted by it. That could have been just, and even if in our own families, trying to get accepted from our brother or a cousin or our parents or whoever. So it's like a natural thing, but it gets really bad when it dictates how you actually move, and nobody gets to dictate your destiny. Only you do. So I think in those moments when I got a vision that's so big or so powerful or so unique and different that other people may not be able to understand or see, I go down to the smallest, I'm talking minuscule moment, one small step at a time. So I go into this framework of what's the next right step? Like what's the next, really in this case, what's the next smallest right step? So I would throw it back at you. What if you could take your vision and boil it down to what you could do tomorrow morning and actually achieve, what would that next smallest right next step be for you?
Wow. Well, I know for sure. It's just a matter. Then the next step will be, it's a matter of, like you said, I've been listening. It's getting to the right connection to the person or activist or someone in a community, someone that knows who has a heart and knows the struggle and the pain of the people, to actually unite with that person to get that to the right politician or
okay, perfect. Stop there, because that's step 2 and 3 and 4. So you said the next right step is find a community activist that's down for this idea, that's down for this cause, that understands the pain. So they're looking for solutions. You know they need to solve the problem. So now you have a viable customer that needs your solution because it can help them solve a problem. So the first step is, okay, now we got to try to connect to that person. Okay, but that's not the step. That's great that you have that, but that's still not the step. So what's the step for that? Is it you're going to write down a list of people? Is it I'm going to reach out to some people in my own community to try to see, who do you know is really doing things? Like, what is the step to the step? Like that you can do those things tomorrow. You can make that reach out, and you could start small, and then somebody will lead you to somebody, which will lead you to somebody, and then you end up at Robert's house. And now you're talking to Robert. Now you're talking to Robert, right? And then you're saying to Robert, and he's saying to you, okay, how do I do this? And you go, well, we need to find a politician. Who do you know? Or how do we get that? And then you're on your next right step.
I got you.
So it really is a matter of taking the vision, and what we don't really do, which is why I put together this whole new system, man. And I'm trying to build it into an app, because we did it as a workbook just to really test it out and see how it was going for people. But it's basically called a Goal Buddy Planner. This Goal Buddy Planner is meant to have you kind of put down, what is your goal? What are your goals for the month? What are your goals for the week? What's your goals for the year? And then what are the small steps that's going to get you there? What are the obstacles that could get in the way? We never account for the obstacles that could get in the way of the stuff we want to get done. But if you know where the roadblocks are, if you know what the blind spots are before you hit them, you can adjust so you can get more things done faster. And then when you do it with a buddy, that's like going to the gym. I'd rather go to the gym any day with a friend than go by my damn self, because I know I'm gonna really put it in. I know they're gonna be looking at me. I know I'm gonna really put it in. So it's the same thing when we're trying to pursue our goals. So what I try to teach people is to reverse engineer the goal. So if you really see this vision, and I'll say, okay, let's say it's gonna take you 9 months or a year. It could take you 3, but let's just say you put some time frame on it. Then you just got to reverse engineer backwards. And what you do is you start thinking about the very smallest step that you can take every day or every week towards it. You look up 4 weeks later, you actually got some traction.
Yeah.
But the idea gets so big that we don't take the time to write it down, that we get frustrated because we're like, how come nobody's understanding what I'm talking about? Can't they see this? Yeah. And it's like, if you just break it down in small steps, you'll be easier on yourself. and you'll get moments of momentum, and that's going to give you a lot of wind behind your back.
Yeah. My question.
Well,
my question is, I looked at your TED Talk recently. And it was a very good TED Talk. How to master the ask.
Oh yeah, thanks, JB. Appreciate that.
What opportunities have opened up for you for just by asking somebody?
Oh, bruh. Woo! Yo, that's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that question before. Not like that. That's for damn sure. The opportunities that have opened up. Oh man. So okay. My first opportunity to get on radio opened up because I asked. I literally cold called a small station and was like, I got this show idea. Can I get on? And they put me through a little bit of a ringer, but it was cool. I got on. Then I remember, and it was small. It was almost meaningless. But then I remember calling the ABC station in Baltimore. And I was like, yo, if I could get on TV, because I didn't graduate college. I went to college because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in broadcasting. I knew I wanted to be in TV, media, radio. Like I knew that was my lane. But because I got shot at while I was attending the university in West Virginia, my parents was like, yeah, they just called us and said, you know, it's getting too risky out there. You need to get back. And I'm like, damn, how did I leave Baltimore to get shot at in West Virginia? Like, this is crazy. But nonetheless, that's how the cards got dealt. And so I left that college and never found my footing back into college after that. It just wasn't in the cards. So I had to fight for everything because I didn't have the sheet of paper. So I had to create. I had to get smart. So while I had a day job, I was calling other places to figure out how I could do this side hustle, how I could work for these other places or do stuff for free. I had the day job. I had the salary covered. So I was like, I just need to get these opportunities. So I think I just learned all they could say is no. And so many people allow the no to lock them up that they don't take the chance because they don't understand that it's a 50-50 situation. Like, and you can make it more 70-30, 80-20 if you remove what could be an obstacle. In other words, I went to Channel 2, ABC local station, was like, I want to be able to do what I'm doing on radio, but I'll do it for you for free. Just let me get one Thursday. Let me just do it every Thursday morning. I'll talk about technology to your viewers. And they were like, for free? And I was like, yeah, for free. Well, I immediately removed any obstacle. So I had the day job. So I was like, yo, they don't know that I need the experience. I needed the experience. They were getting free content from me. When you know why you're being used, let them use you. Too often, I think the ego gets in the way and we don't want to do things because we're like, yo, you should pay me for that. Or, yo, so-and-so is getting this, getting that. But it's like, why are you doing it? If you're doing it for the pay, then yeah, get your pay. I was doing it because I needed the experience, because I saw a goal for myself. How do I get to national television? How do I get to national media? And I was like, yo, if I can do it in local, then if I can break in, then I can get the experience. Then I can learn what it's like to be on a set. Then I can learn what it's like to be on live TV. Then I can learn what it's like when they go to a commercial break. That I can learn what it's like to have to talk in 30-second bits. So that to me was like, every time I asked, I just recognized more opportunities were happening, bro. So I think every single thing that's happened to me has been because I asked. Getting these Emmys happened because I asked, bro. You're making me really dig now, bro. Like, I remember because I didn't have a studio to shoot the show at. We couldn't afford it in New York. It's just too much money. And I'm telling you, this is different than the studios that we got now with like virtual and StreamYard and all these things. Like, all that wasn't going on then. It was like Facebook Live and Periscope. It wasn't, none of that was happening. And so I had to ask. I basically called around to some companies that had like these large lobbies. And I was like, if we use can you let us use your lobby to shoot our show in the evenings? It won't be during the workday, so it won't mess with your workflow, making it easy for them. But what we'll do is we'll include your product as a commercial in the show for a trade, basically a barter. You give me the space, let me use it. I'll bring in the cameras, bring in the crew, bring in the equipment. We'll be like ninjas. You won't even notice us like that. But every time we come in for the next 8 weeks to shoot our 8 episodes, we're going to mention your product in the show. And if we have a special guest that you want to meet, like Damon John, if he comes on the show or somebody like that, then I'll set it up that your people can get a chance to meet them. Yo, after like the 3rd place that we went to, we got a yes. But 2 places told us no. So I can't, and then we end up with this. So I can't think of a time that asking did not create a mega opportunity for me. And I just think that people are hesitant. People think that you got to have it all together in order to make the ask. People don't need to see all of that. People just need to see your potential. That's what people really want to see, like your potential. So asking has become the most significant way for anybody, in my opinion, to level up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how did you get into was you always a technology person for tech? So is something you always been into as a kid, or something you got into that later when you found out it was because back in the day, I was a toy person. I'm Ninja Turtles, right? I wish I would have known tech was gonna be what it was today. I would have been more technical. So that's something you was always into, or did you get into it when you seen it was arising from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it was always in me to mess around with it, but I really didn't like it to the degree that like engineers and programmers, it was this weird thing that happened to me. So let me answer your question first. I'll tell you why I got a little weird. First and foremost, I was just like you. I think I was just into toys and kind of like, I really liked television, and I was like, yo, how does that work?
Right.
So that interested me. And then I was like, radio seems cool. How does that work? But I didn't want to fix any of it. I didn't want to make it. I wanted to be the voices that was on the air or be the person that was being seen on screen. But I wanted to understand how it worked. So that kind of balance of wanting to be talent as well as understanding how the sausage is being made was kind of like just enough for me to learn. And then I started just like picking up little gadgets. For some reason, I always liked messing around with damn gadgets. I don't know why, man. I just did. And then it became this thing. Like people would just look to me. I was like in sales, and I remember having this little audio recorder. And like I was like the only salesperson that had one of them. And they were like, yo, why do you have that? I was like, because I don't have to miss Mr. Larry's drop off. He gonna be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. He gonna expect these cell phones. I was selling cell phones and stuff.
Right. And
so they were like, you don't write it down. I was like, nah, I just got it on this little thing I carry with me. It was crazy. So I was just up in the Radio Shack like that, I guess, man. I don't know. But at a certain point, what did change was I noticed that nobody was talking about technology in the thing I wanted to be on. Okay. And I think that's when the switch. And so the switch for everybody listening or watching is, it's not necessarily about learning it's not necessarily about, like I talk to kids all the time and they're just like, Mr. Armstrong, I don't really want to get into technology. I really want to pursue, this football thing, or I really want to pursue this music thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to dream kill. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. So do that. But here's what I want you to understand is like, how does technology play a role in it? Can you just also learn that for me?
Yeah.
And then it becomes like, oh, so I don't need to go and learn engineering for engineering's sake. I can go over here and actually learn as it relates to the sport of football, or as it relates to fashion, or as it relates to making music. And I'm like, yeah, now it's relevant. So I think that for me, I just started seeing that, oh, technology is becoming relevant in people's lives, and there's nobody on the air really talking about it. Oh, this is a chance for me to make this run. And that's what I did. And then I think being black, it was also just completely helpful because it just wasn't enough of us really. I mean, there was enough black techies, but they weren't on air. They weren't on air. So that kind of made, and that's where, but what's funny is, to a certain degree, I think the real techies was just like, yo, I think he kind of pseudo tech. I don't think he really fully tech. But then everybody at home that was watching me on TV was like, I love this tech guy because he explains it to me in a way I can understand. So it was weird because it was like I was getting a lot of acceptance and understanding from non-techies, but not as much love from the actual techies themselves. But I don't know if it was because I was breaking it down in a way that they weren't, or that I was breaking it down and I was watering it down, and it didn't matter to me. I was doing what I thought was helpful.
It was that skin tone, man. That skin tone. I'm telling you, I already know what it is. That skin tone. I'm telling you.
No, but I was getting that. I was getting some of that from my own people.
That's what I'm saying. That's like the dumb part for me, bro. Like, we the crabs in the buckets, man. Like, it's always us trying to pull us back in the bucket, man. I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
I don't get that part at all.
But that's a good question. So I think, you got to keep your eyes open for the opportunities. You got to understand what you're passionate about. And then that's how you can start to really maneuver yourself and kind of find yourself into these spaces where other people aren't really paying attention to.
Yeah, find your niche.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sometimes you got to create it. Yeah. I didn't even know it was a niche. I just knew people weren't on air doing it. Like, y'all know somebody's not doing something you want to do. And so it's like, okay, how can you do it that's really relevant to you? That's going to be a niche because it's relevant to you. Nobody else can be you, so it's going to be unique anyway.
Yep, you right. I mean, you speaking facts, bro.
Gotcha. We got a comment from the King Starter today. Let's see. We got a comment. It says, it's always good to be in a circle or common denominator or whatever it is that you are in to coincide in the field you want to be in.
That's powerful. And when we in these rooms, it's no time for second doubt. It's no time for like second guessing, no time for self-doubt. Like, when you're in the room, you already got in the room. Like, I'll see people get into a room and then they shrink. And I'm like, yo, why y'all shrinking? Like, this is the time to express yourself. Like, you already in the room. You're supposed to be here. I don't care if you're the youngest one. I don't care if you're the blackest one. I don't care. Like, if you in the room, you're supposed to be in the room. So max it out, take advantage of it. I completely agree with, like, it's good to be in the circle of that common denominator, whatever it is that you're in.
Let me ask you this. When you in that room, is there some do's and don'ts that you should do or you shouldn't do, or what you should say when you shouldn't say? Is there a lingo? Is there like a protocol? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think before there would be an argument that could be made that, we know how to play the game. And I think that's done now. I think there's no need for you to do that. You need to fully be you. And if somebody else can't deal with it, that's actually their issue. Yeah. And I know, like, well, how far, Mario? That's up to the individual. I can't tell. But what I can tell you is, like, just read the spaces. Like, what I do know is that I do know that we know how to read a room. I do know that. And I think that's just because of how we've had to move. That I think, at least for me, I know that I can read a room. And I know that if I'm in the room, I'm not being quiet to be quiet. I'm not going to talk just to talk. I'm going to have something to say or some value to add or a question that hopefully generates some action. But I'm not just going to be sitting in the background. Right. So I think that, number one, be you. Because at least if somebody's trying to play you for being you, at least you understand what that is. Like, I'd like to know why I'm being played. And if I'm not being me, I can't tell if I'm being played because now I done acted fake or I did something that's not true to me. So now I don't know if they're playing me because of that or because of something else. And now I'm all like confused. I'd rather just be authentically me and then understand exactly where it is and exactly where somebody else stands, because then I know how to maneuver. I know how to work with that. And so I think, number one, I don't think you should be quiet in a room, but I think you should speak up when you have something of value to say.
Okay. Cool. Have your lane became more difficult, being that it's a more open world, like what I'm saying? You know, the internet and got more powerful, and you got more people in your lane. Have you felt the pressure? Like you're at your level, right? You know what it took to get there, but are you feeling pressure? Like, it seems like it's so easy for guys to just come up now. They see you, they'll look at you and be like, oh, let me copy this, and I'm finna come up. Do you feel that pressure? Like you say, I work hard, man. I had to do this. I went through evictions, everything to get to, and it seems like it's kind of like the boxing world. People mad at forgot his name because I don't really watch him. The white box, what's that celebrity boxer? I forgot his name. Jake Paul, like the real boxer, man.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Yeah. Worked to train to get there. Brothers. and you skipping up the ropes because you're a celebrity. So do you feel that pressure being in the lane? How hard until you get to lane, but then you got all these tech people just doing it, or
Well, yeah, you know what, man? I didn't feel that type of pressure. I felt different pressure. I understand how people can feel that too, though. But I started noticing, just like you said, like paying attention to the market. I started noticing internet was becoming way more available. People were asking their kids more and more questions. Their kids were growing up on the internet, so now they can answer their parents' problems. So my job of being kind of like this filter that was able to educate all these masses of people I was like, yo, they got Google now. Like things are going to change real quick.
Right.
And they got Google in their house. Like they got their sons, daughters, nieces, nephews. Like, and so I was like, all right. And at that time, I was also ready to kind of pivot. I was ready to do more in entrepreneurship. I was ready to do, because I knew that I was more than tech, but I knew that was my way in. So what was actually happening to me is I was getting pigeonholed. What was actually happening was the networks and the media and all these other people that knew me only knew me for tech, or only wanted to see me doing tech. So anytime I had something else to offer or to give up, they didn't even want to hear it. They had already boxed me in so tight. They were like, yo, just stay in that box. You killing it in that lane. Like, why would, like, what do you, and I understand how that happens to people. So I think for me, the pressure was, how do I leave something that's been so good to me? And can I actually make that step out on faith to change my whole trajectory? So yeah, I talk about tech, but nowhere near, like now tech is like 10% of what I talk about. Nowhere near where it was 100% of what I talked about before. So that was a rough moment to be like, I'm going to actually walk away from what has been feeding me really, really well, because I think I see the writing on the wall, and I think I'm kind of done with this. And if I don't switch now, I think I'll be typecast forever.
Man, you got some, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. You got like this, you got a big belief system. It seems like you don't, and I get why you got that belief system, because you do have to take the chance. You got to step off the ledge. And a lot of people are scared to step off that ledge, And
because our brain is wired to protect us. See, that the hack is this, right? You're so right. But like, a lot of people will operate based off of fear,
right?
Operate like based off of avoiding fear, right? As opposed to like actually leaning into the possibility of it working out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's so it's like the same people that like, and I get this line too, where people be like, yo, I love it when the haters come after me because it gives me like that fuel. I get that. And I've had those moments in my life too. But you know what I also like? I also like proving my supporters right. So it's like which energy do I want to do? Do I want to do the negative energy of like, yo, I can't wait for these haters to see me get on? Like, okay, I get that can fuel you in the instant, but do I really want to carry that fuel for like 3 years trying to prove these haters wrong? Or do I really want to prove the people that do believe in me right? And so I kind of try to change and reframe the perspective. And it's because I found out through talking to a neuroscientist, and he broke it down. He was like, well, the brain doesn't know the difference. When it's afraid, it's afraid. Mm-hmm. So somebody walking up on a stage in front of 200 or 2,000 people could literally be scared to death. Right. And it's going to feel like they're being mugged at gunpoint. Right. Now, they're not being mugged at gunpoint. They're not going to die on that stage. Nobody's going to shoot them. They're on the stage. But it feels the same in their brain. And I was like, why is that? And he said, because the brain has been conditioned to protect us from the things that we're afraid of. But once you understand the difference between real fear and fake fear, then you can hack it. Because now you know what it is you're feeling. So now I know when my underarms get sweaty, or when my mouth gets dry, or I'm in front of somebody and I'm like, yo, I need to ask, this person or that person. Like sometimes I'll find myself in these back rooms, or I'll be behind stages that I'm speaking at, or I'll be in these green rooms. And I've seen a lot of different people, man. You name them. I've seen so many people that I've been exposed to. And there'll be moments where I'll start to feel that sweat, even though I've had no problem walking up to people, asking them questions or introducing myself. Doesn't mean that I don't go through the process of feeling it. I'm not a damn robot. I ain't Chat GPT out here. So like, I'm like, yo, I'm glad somebody caught that. I'm like, yo, I was like, damn, that fell flat.
Now you
good. But I'm like, yo, I know that when I feel my palms getting sweaty or my underarms getting sweaty, I'm like, oh, okay. This is okay. I'm about, there's a breakthrough that's about to happen right now. Like whatever you're thinking, keep going. Like I bumped into Byron Allen recently, and I got TV shows. I got stuff I'm trying to. I've been trying to get in front of Byron Allen for a minute because people don't know on the low. This dude been killing it.
Yeah,
like you know, it wasn't until he got on the Breakfast Club, everybody was like, "What?"
True.
Before the Breakfast Club, I already knew he'd been killing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, I'm getting sweaty palms. I'm trying to get my phone, my photo album in my phone right, because whenever I roll up on somebody, I got stuff in my phone, in my photo albums, labeled, ready. So I got video, I got testimonials, I got me on TV, I got me in the podcast, I got me with celebrities, I got like whatever I need to show people while I'm talking to them. I'm like, show you, my phone is right beside my face, so they can be looking at my phone and looking at me and be like, okay, this dude seemed to be the real deal. And so I was getting all nervous, and I was like, okay, yep, you feeling that energy. But at that time, most people shut down. So I think if you could understand that that's what your body's just going through because it's just meant to protect you, but that you're not in a life or death situation, that you actually need to embrace that feeling because that means you're about to hit a breakthrough.
Yeah, taking it back a little bit about getting into the room. When did you come up with the idea that you're going to ask people for 11 minutes of their time instead of asking for just a minute or an hour or 30 minutes?
Because man, people ask for too much damn time from people. And it's like, okay, so really how I found out that this 11 minutes could work was partially a Jedi mind trick. It was partially like, I'm going to ask for something different, but I could have asked for 15 and that would have still been different. But what I found was when so many people would hit me up and they would be like, yo, can I get a few minutes of your time? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. Cause I'm just like that kind of approachable, accessible kind of guy. Like I don't play like that. So I'm like, yeah. But then when you tell me you're going to have me for 5 minutes, but then you go for like 20, I'm like, damn, this ain't really what you told me it would be. Like I can do it, but like, I got to actually get ready to go before I'm like late from my shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, no disrespect, but so I recognize that people, don't really pay attention. Many people don't pay attention to time. And so they ask for what they think they should ask for. They ask for what they think is common. And what I'm saying is you want to do stuff that's uncommon if you want to get uncommon outcomes.
Facts.
So I ask for things that are uncommon. I'm asking you for 11 minutes. Why? Because 11 is a unique number. I'm not asking you for 15 because the last time somebody asked you for 15, you found yourself with them for 30. So people have abused 15. They've abused 30. They abused an hour. I don't need all of that. Yeah. Plus, I also know I don't need to shoot my whole shot in one moment with you. Let me just get 11 minutes. Let's just date for a second. Let's even just find out if we even should be dating. So let me get 11 minutes with you. And then if that 11 minutes goes good, then we can go further on. Yeah. So I think asking for the 11 minutes really puts people off guard because they're like, damn, if he's really serious about 11 minutes, I can give him 11 minutes. So number one, they're not used to seeing it. Number two, it's a short amount of time that I'm asking them for, but it's enough time just to get enough info. And number three, when I actually hold to it, they're like, damn, they believe me now. I just earned trust because I actually held to it. And in most cases, when I say thank you, you know, our 11 minutes is just about up. I appreciate it. Oh, I got a few more minutes. You know, we can go to such and such. Most of the time that happens, you actually get extended more time.
All right, I got this question. You jump in. So everybody jumping in. We got a lot of, you see, we got a million questions. We're trying to get them in. My question is about your beautiful queen. My question about your queen, who you say been in the business for you. How did you, a lot of times what my struggle with, you be in a relationship, right? When you're going through a hard time, a lot of people give up on you. They can't go through it with you. They like, I can't do it. So how did you, what was it that kept y'all so persistent, so strong? And do you think you'll be where you are without her? And if
Hell
not,
no.
What is her role? What is her role? Because a lot of people need to hear what does she do for you to make you at where you at? Like, people need to hear what these queens doing because a lot of people think it's just solo game out here. And there's a lot of people in the background.
Nah, fam. Like, yo, I would nowhere be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for her.
Right.
Nowhere. Like, It's just, and it's not like, oh, why? Because she was maintaining the house. She was doing that and running the business. Truth be told, she's the CEO, fam. I don't have the CEO title. She does.
Woo.
So then there's also got to be some talk about brothers having humility. Do you have enough humility to make your partner the CEO, or do you got to have the ego to go with it?
Yeah.
I had to learn that game. Look, I wasn't all like self-righteous. This ain't like Mario been on that for me. Nah, man, Mario was egotistical. Mario was selfish. Mario had to learn, like, yo, you're not getting somewhere because you're being selfish. And she was showing that to me. And then I had to come to a realization, like, is she right, or am I going to continue defending myself until I'm blue in the face?
Right.
And at a certain point, I had to be like, yo, it's the common denominator is me. It's like the dude that keeps getting fired from every job, but every job is the problem.
Right.
It's like, yo, is it really every woman you with is the problem? Like,
yeah, right.
Are you doing any work, bro? Are you doing any work?
Yeah.
So at a certain point, I had to like be real with me and be like, no, I got to do this work. So she became CEO, rightfully so. And I think the difference was making sure two things. When you got a dream and a vision, I think people underestimate treating their family like stockholders.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I treat my family like stockholders. What does that look like? That looks like this. I have a dream. I got a vision. I would like to get you to leave your day job. She wasn't trying to leave her day job. She was actually making more in her salary than I was. So this was an uphill battle when I got laid off to be like, hey, this is my runway. I got laid off. I can pursue the side hustle thing. You come and join me. You can make this thing really work. I can do the marketing and da-da-da. You can run the economics and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. We got a kid. We got all this. No.
Yeah.
I sat her down and I did a presentation. What? I said, 2:00 Saturday, meet me in the kitchen. 2:00 Saturday, meet me in the kitchen. I knew how to use PowerPoint. I put the shit together. I put a PowerPoint slide deck together, and I showed her what the idea was, who I felt the competition was, what I felt the opportunity could be, what the business kind of could look like if we could work on this, and how she could play a role. So I basically did what they call in marketing terms a SWOT analysis. I looked at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats, and basically put together. And to even make it more simple, it's just who, what, when, where, why, how.
Yep.
And if you just do one slide for each one of those questions, your family be like, oh, so you're not doing this tomorrow? No, we're going to do this in like 6 months. I'm going to pad my bank account. We're going to do some savings. We're going to not eat out. We're going to beef it up so that we can get ready for this. Oh, now I understand why we got to take this sacrifice. Oh, now I understand why I can't ask dad for that extra cereal. Like, it all starts to make sense because the family has been brought in to see the vision. Now, the challenge is don't just dictate it to them. Make it a conversation. Show it to them, present it, but then, hey, what are y'all thoughts? What questions do you all have? Oh, and then the last thing I would say is show them examples, if you can, of other people that have also made it. Because too often we got to see that, oh, you mean you're going to be like Charlemagne? Oh, you mean you're going to be like such and such? Like, that can somewhat help people to kind of get a frame around what you are trying to present to them if they can't get the idea based off of how you're presenting it to them without that.
Wow.
That's
so now when my kid was like, hey, Dad, I want to get a dog. I was like, okay, that sounds great. It's your 10th birthday. I understand you want to do that. I'm going to need to see a presentation. And that dude at 10, that dude at 10 was literally putting together, and he answered all the questions. Who is it? It's a dog.
Yeah.
Who's going to take care of it? Him, with the parents' help. What will I do? I will walk it. I will feed it. It was like, why do I want a dog? Because I think it would be fun. Like, I remember, like, yo, he did the presentation. I was like, okay.
Fam, that's a TikTok reel, fam. That's a money avenue for you. Need to do a TikTok reel with presentations, man. That'll go live. Like, I'm finna do one, bro. I'm like, yeah, you want me to cut the yard? I need a presentation where I need the yard cut. You know what the benefit of me going out there to paying the lawn man, why I need to go out there.
I'm saying, if you show that to your queen and you sit her down and you treat her like 2:00 Saturday, You're going to meet me in the dining room or take it out the house. Sometimes you got to get out of the environment of where everything is so used to everything else.
Right.
And like, so go get a hotel room for the day and do it in the hotel room or ask a friend for a spot, like anywhere but where the normal chaos or the normal reactions can happen. Take it out, take it off turf, because then you really get them more exposed and more open. And so I think if you do that with the person you really care about, and if they can't see that, that doesn't mean that they don't support you. It just means they might be scared as hell. And you got to really find out, are they afraid? Because that's different than, do they believe I can do it?
Right.
If they don't believe I can do it, then we got to have a deeper discussion about what we even doing. like, what's this about?
You're right. Because that's what a lot of people stuck in, is they stuck in people who don't support. A lot of people, they don't support each other. So a lot of people are stuck in these situations where they don't even support it. Like, dreams have to be supported. That's just, for me, it got to be supported.
And that's why I'm like, there's two types of dream killers. You got the dream killers that actually don't want to see you be successful.
Right.
And you know what that feeling is like. You know how to avoid them. You know how to feel that energy. But then you got your parents or other friends that are scared for you because they don't see what you see and they didn't do what you do. So now it's fear. But it shows up as like dream killing, because it shows up like, why don't you do the safe thing? It shows up like, why don't you just wait for that? You don't really have the education for that. Like, it shows up like that. But what that doesn't mean like they really don't want to see you be successful. It just means they don't understand it. So, but they show, but then they open up their mouth and then we listen to it. And then we like, damn, maybe I can't, you know? So I think presenting the facts of the situation makes it harder for people to bring their opinions into your dreams.
Fact. And I see you got a background in music. I mean, I heard you talking about music. I think you're a lover of music. I see the hoodie. I like that hoodie you got on, for real.
Yeah. Shout out.
It's a lot. Being that you're an entrepreneur, you done made it and stuff with these artists. Like they just said, I don't know if nobody read. They said they just got walk on RICO charges. What is your opinion on all these artists? Like, you see all the murders happening, and they saying it don't even make sense to go even do a record deal. Like, all this stuff that's happening, the RICO charges. Why? I mean, what's your opinion on that and what's going on, you know, with today and all that, man? It seemed crazy to me to have that, even with someone that had that much money. It's like, I don't get with Frank Lucas. I said, man, how you make $1 million? They say, man, pull $1 million a day. How you don't pull out the game the next day? How you don't just work 1 week and say, you know what, I'm done. I done made $7 million Monday through Sunday. Let me go and go to Hawaii and chill. And cops not on me. What? It's crazy what's happening right now, man. I don't. It's like the hip hop world is messed up. It's crazy. I
mean, look, man, and I'm not holier than thou, right? Like I've made dumb decisions. I had a 9 in my hand a couple of times. I've been in like situations that it's just like, this doesn't seem right. Oh, okay. Better get out of this. And fortunately, at those like last moments, I made the right decision to kind of like get out of whatever those situations that I got myself into.
Right.
So I think that, when you're young, man, you think it's just going to keep coming, and you think it's just going to keep coming. You think the money's never going to stop. You think it's going to keep coming. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of young brothers that are hurt because, they haven't been treated right. They don't have the right upbringing. They haven't had the right the father figures in the households, for some of them, not all of them. And so I just think like identity crisis is just, it's crazy. Plus you got social media that turns everything into like astronomical comparison.
Ooh, Lord. Yes,
it's astronomical to compare now. I mean, to the point where you got Ja, Memphis, you got
Ja Morant, yeah.
Yes, bro.
It's like,
that story there.
You could go to the epitome of like, yo, what is he even doing? But it's like, okay, but do y'all know that everybody can carry in Tennessee?
Yeah,
like,
that's what. Oh my God.
Like, you can carry in Tennessee. Like, why are y'all tripping? It's not like he in Maryland doing this. Like,
they on WNBA now. They on WNBA talking about they getting on there finna get on them for wearing they nails and the hair in their head. And I'm like, come on, y'all going back to the Iverson days. I
was going to say, Allen Iverson already took care of this.
That's
what
I'm saying. Now the ladies can't wear nails and stuff. They making their shots. What is the problem? Like,
we talking about IG Live, bro. We talking about IG Live. We talking about
I'm telling you,
IG Live. Did I shoot somebody? We talking about IG Live. Like,
man,
I'm like, now I'm not saying I'm not condoning it, Right? Like I'm saying that's a stupid move for him to do it on a live. Why is he doing that? He's looking for some other acceptance. He's looking for some other validation. As a young kid, validation. I get that. But it's like, yo, you know, this is where it's the fight that we have is against this validation. It's against this identity, and it's against support systems. Because if you don't have it from your home, you're gonna get it from the street. At least that's what you think you're going. At least that's what you think you get.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's a tough battle. I just really wish that there's any young people that listen to this, that if you got that even inkling of a feeling like I did, like, nah, this ain't right. I should be doing something. And you trying to figure out how to get out. You gotta go. You gotta talk to that older brother, that uncle in your neighborhood, that cousin that seemed to be on the right path. Like, you gotta go talk to somebody and say what you're struggling with. Because you haven't figured out how to make the move yet, and you need some advice or somebody with other exposure to be able to see inside your world to give you some ideas on how you might be able to step out of that.
Facts. Hey, gang, I just want to let y'all know I'm doing the podcast. My battery, I'm on an iPhone. My junk just said low power. We know what that means. So it might die on me in case I blank out. But, man, I'm doing the show. Y'all take over in case I blank out. But, man, I enjoyed you. I'm definitely going to be reading your content, following more of your content. And I hope God keep blessing you and your family, your wife and your family, man. Y'all just go out of limits with man. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Like I said, with our culture, I know we're blacks. We have a problem sharing and helping each other. We crabs in the bucket. Yeah, you see every culture help each other. Every culture help each other, but we the crabs in the bucket. Like I said, I like what you're doing. You have very good points, and you right about what you're saying, man. You gotta have no fear. It's like going to the casino knowing I got $100, but I'm scared to lose my 100. Why I'm at the casino? Take the money, I ain't scared to lose. That's stupid. I ain't finna go, and I'm shaking the whole time like, oh Jesus, Jesus, please let me hit. This is my last 100. That's dumb for me to be. If you take something I can lose. Somebody ain't got fear. So, man, I appreciate everything you said. You done gave me a lot of input, in my own life. So, man,
hey, man, I appreciate that too, bro. And I appreciate that you all are doing this podcast in this way, and that you all are being vulnerable, because that too is something that we don't do. And it can be frowned upon to be vulnerable, to show what's quote unquote seems weak. Like, there's a moment where you gotta stand up for your family. I get that, but you're a human being, and I think like this whole. Part of the problem, I'm not gonna say the problem, but part of the problem with the crabs in the bucket mentality is because we have been conditioned not to have stuff.
Ooh, yes.
And because of the structural racism, because of how it's all been done, when we get something, we like, yo, hold on to that.
Right.
But what we have to understand now is that game has really changed due to the internet, due to the access, due to the fact that we can buy from each other. We don't have to rely on somebody else to buy from us.
Right.
We don't have to rely on somebody else to take our products. So now that we know that, and now that we can be smarter about that, now it's like, no. Now we have to start getting international with our thinking. And I think that's where we get like limited. Even in our own team, I'm like, y'all, we gotta start thinking about how we get this podcast on in India. Like, I want to get a book out, and then I want that book done in like 6 different languages.
Ooh.
So it's like, we got to get exposure, and we got to get exposure. And so I think like when we do that, we start to understand that the pie isn't small at all. Pie is big as hell.
Right.
And when we start, like I asked Shaq one time, man, and no disrespect, but I asked him, I was like, hey, how come y'all don't get together with like other players and like y'all pool y'all money together and like invest in, like, this is 10 years ago, invest in like entrepreneurs and other people with great ideas that look like us. And he said an answer to me that back then, I'm sure it's different than how he would answer it now. But back then he was like, well, my money guy doesn't necessarily talk to my friend's money guy. And I was like, yo, I don't understand that concept. Like, you the one with the money.
Right.
And I'm trying to tell you that y'all could pull together some money to make some really big change, as opposed to you doing something here and him doing something over there. And you telling me your money guy don't mess with that money guy, so therefore y'all don't pull together. Like, I just checked out at that point. Checked out because I was like, oh man.
No, that's real Hollywood, bro. Because even Stallone said, I mean, everybody know Creed 3. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Say he hit 100. He made his number. But they saying Stallone didn't work with. It was a money thing because he didn't want to work with the director or something with this movie. He's like, I don't want to do it with him. So you right about this. Like, it seemed like money gets so big. Now your money talk for you. Money talk. Now your money talk for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, we ain't finna go over here. We ain't finna go over here. And it's all the people that's like I say, you're not even controlling your own money.
Right.
But
and I'm sure that's different now. I'm sure because he's been invested in a ton of businesses. He's done a lot of stuff, and he gives back like crazy. But right. I may have just caught him at a moment, and he was being real and he was being honest. But now I understood why it was happening, and I understand like this whole crabs in the barrel mentality. It's even happening with people that got a lot of money.
Yes.
It's like, yo. So we got a lot of conditioning that we have to break down. And the way we break it down is by actually lifting each other up, by giving me a shot to come on your podcast. By now me being like, damn, is there a way that I can promote this podcast? Is there something I can do for them?
Right.
You know, so it's like, it's got to be reciprocated.
That's it, man. We appreciate you coming on, man. And I watch you live with Ash Cash. I watched the webinar, and man, you say, man, just, right, you know, there. You gotta have the strength, man, to just ask the question. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The courage to ask the question. I reached out, man, and we appreciate you coming on.
Bruh, now I'm gonna ask you another one. Asking is the fastest, lowest cost way of acquiring info and creating new opportunity. It just is. You just gotta keep asking.
I like this guy, man. I like him. I like him, man.
It's common sense, but it's not common practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's common sense, but it's not common practice. And it's just like, when you ask, if somebody says no, and you go and ask somebody else, and they say no, and they're saying no for the same, there's only two reasons why you should be getting a no. If it's the same reason over and over, that you're getting the same reason, then there's something wrong with your ask. If it's the same reason. If it's a different reason, one time it's like, no, because it's the wrong time. One time it could be like, no, because it costs too much. Or I thought it had these features. If it's different answers, then that means you just haven't found the yes yet. You got to keep going. You don't change your pitch. You don't change your ask. You got to keep trying to find the right audience. Because a lot of times we are pitching the wrong people. We're not even asking. We're asking for people to give us a yes, and they don't even have the power to do it. So we got to be smart about who we're pitching or who we're going after. And then when we get that no, we got to understand, am I hearing that no, the same no over and over? Then I might need to change up and switch up what I'm doing. If I'm hearing a different no, Mario said, stay on that path. Don't change up what I'm doing. I'm just got to hit the right person. It's going to happen. So I don't know how many other people you asked and they told you no. How many other people have you asked and they told you no?
Well, I asked a few guys for a white pair of glasses. So let me ask you, can I have them white glasses? I got two no's the other day. Make you say yes, because you just said.
Yeah, you can have them if you go to Zenny.com, you can pick up a pair. If these didn't have prescription in them, I give them to you, but they got prescription in them. But Tony, for real though, how often do you ask people to come on? Does everybody say yes?
No.
No, man. Majority don't respond. Yeah. But man,
but you keep asking,
yes,
right?
It's good.
Yeah.
But you kept asking, right? And here we are.
Don't get discouraged.
Nope.
Sir. Now I got a question for you. Okay. What was the first brand that you secured?
The first brand deal?
The first paid brand deal that you secured.
Oh man. Yeah, and really, oh man, first paid brand deal, man, that's probably that might have been Microsoft, that might have been that might have been Staples at the time. But the best one that we got, that really changed the game, because those were like all smaller ones. Those were like 5 and 10K. But when I got that 186,000 from FedEx office, that's when I was like, okay, this a whole other this a whole other situation. There's a lot that I can do. And so that was our first season of our show. And we needed to get about eight episodes done. And we put up some of our own money But then we were able to get 168, not 186, 168,000 from FedEx office. And I think that was the biggest deal for us because when we did that, I recognized like, oh man, if you know how to package and you know how to present, then it's just a matter of making sure that you think you can solve a problem that they have and show your solution in a way that can help them solve a problem. There's money. And that's like nothing to them, but that was like everything to us.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
We are, we're part of the CTR Media Podcast Network, and we have multiple podcasters. When is a good time to reach out to these branding companies, or what are they looking for to actually do a partnership with them?
Yeah, they're looking for who's your audience is like the most important thing. It's not necessarily the most important, but it's like right there, like number 2 or number 3. Like who are you reaching? And who's gravitating to what you're doing. Like that's really, really important to understand who that person is. Like what do they buy? What do they eat? Where do they shop? What kind of music they listen to? What do they get in the grocery store? Are they shopping in Whole Foods or are they shopping like in Giant? Do they have it like that where they're getting like groceries delivered and using like Instacart and Uber Eats and Peapod, or are they having to go out and get like, so understanding what we call the psychographics, which is like the consumer behavior, the things that they're into, and then understanding the demographics, which is like the age, the income, zip code, education levels, things of that nature. The brands really want to know more of the psychographics than the demographics. The demographics are important probably just for age, but then after that, it's more like it's all about like the buying habits and what your psychographics show for your audience. So brands need really 3 things. They need to understand who your audience is. They need to understand the alignment that you see with them. So if you got a podcast, like what's your podcast? What's your other podcast about?
T Swin, live with T Swin. It's mostly like about music, expediting in the transportation world. And just like my life, just my daily life.
But it's also about the did I hear the transportation world?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so then I say to you, what are some of the products and services that people in the transportation world need? What comes to mind? Like what product or what service? What are things that people in the transportation world need?
They need equipment to secure the freight. They need PPE, personal protective equipment. GPS systems, electronic log systems.
Perfect. All of these are the brands that are aligned. Perfect. Those are your target companies. Those products, those services are the brands that you would be going to because you got the listener that's paying attention to that. JB, what's your podcast about?
I don't have this is the only podcast that I'm on. I'm new to the game.
Oh, okay. But that's the question. The question is, no matter if you're doing an event, like if you decide, Hoverman, if you decide that you're going to do an event about violence or security or something where you're trying to bring the community together, like why wouldn't you get brands to support that? So like these got to be brands that are down with your mission. But there definitely are brands that are down with that mission. It's just a matter of, are you talking to them? Are you telling them who's going to show? Are you giving them a sense as to who that audience is? So when you can tell a brand, I have an audience, like for me, when I say I have an audience of entrepreneurs, and some of these are side hustlers, some of these got like full-time jobs and they're working on a side gig. Some of them are solopreneurs, meaning they're an entrepreneur of one. And then others have like maybe 3 to 5 employees. Like that's who I'm talking to. And they're trying to build their brand. They're trying to put out digital products. They may be also coaches. They may be podcasters, YouTubers, social media influencers. They may be authors, and they may have their own masterminds and they may do events. Like that's who I'm talking to. And so then I can tell them, look, 80% of my audience travels and they travel more than 5 times a year. So that tells me I can go after brands that want travelers. Even though my content might be motivational and inspirational, I'm not talking about how to get a plane ticket for free. I'm talking to the audience that wants to get the information that I want to give, but I did a survey on my audience and I asked them these questions, and that gave me information to understand what's my listeners' behavior like. Oh, I got people that fly a lot. Well, that indicates that they travel, that they got disposable income, that they need rewards points, that they need luggage, that they need hotels, that they need Ubers and Lyfts, that they need rental cars. So it tells me all the companies that I could be approaching to get for sponsorship. So it's that kind of structure that we, in my programs, we really teach people how to uncover that, because a lot of times they're so close to it, they don't even know how easy it is. And then it's once you identify once you know who your audience is, and then you identified who makes the most sense, like who is aligned with that audience, then it's like then the third thing is, how are you packaging it to present it to them? Because then everybody's like, yo, who do I contact? And I'm like, yeah, okay, there's so many different people that are brand that you could contact. So it's not about who do you contact. It's about when you get the contact, what are you going to actually send to them? What are you going to actually tell them? Especially if you're just a startup, or especially if your podcast is new, or you don't have a lot of numbers. How are you going to prove some value, even though you may not have a large following? Because it's not that you don't. I'm about to post up a reel tomorrow morning that shows that brands are actually spending more money now. 77% of brands are actually spending more on micro influencers than macro influencers. Like, it's dropped. The big audiences with the big followings is now like at 64%, and people with like 5,000 to 10,000 followers is at 77%. So these brands are looking for people to do business with that got smaller audiences. And the reason is because when you got a smaller audience, they know that the listener or the viewer is actually wants to be there. They're actually engaged. They're actually going to buy something or support you or give to your Patreon or buy your merch or show up at your event. And since they know that, they're like, yo, how do we got to get a bunch of people with small numbers to advocate for our brand. So it's like they gotta find you, and that makes it really difficult for you to be found if you're not putting your stuff out there to be found, or if you're not approaching them. So I think the biggest problem is a lot of people think the deals come to you. Deals don't come to you. You gotta go and get the deals. But once you start putting yourself out there, it makes it easier for other deals to come to you once you start getting deals, just like anything else.
Yeah.
Once you got that woman one time and she was hot, you were like, yo, I actually pulled that off. You had the confidence you could do it again.
Yeah.
But you had to get through the one time. And when other women saw you with that fly woman, how T-Swin pull that? now they checking T. Right? So like it's nothing different with brand deals. The minute I did the FedEx office, UPS is looking at me. Right. And then just last year I did a deal with UPS. So it's like it builds your credibility. The association starts to leverage your credibility, and you can use that credibility to another level.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember, man, in the webinar that you did, you said list the companies that you want to target and then list their competition. So, man, and
that's the
I had
fastest
about 30
way to get a list.
30 companies. Yeah, I had about 30 companies on my list.
I forgot that I said that, because if you know Verizon is, it should be a sponsor, then that means T-Mobile, AT&T. That means you go on and on. So you're right. The minute you come up with a list, all you got to do is think about, well, who are their competitors, and you're going to triple that list.
Now, where can people go to get this training from you?
Yes, hit me up. Go to neversettleacademy.com, neversettleacademy.com. We got the program and everything in place. We really help walk you through getting those deals and making it happen. We're turning up a few things with the program too, where we actually make your materials for you now. Like we make your video reel, we make your media kit. We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot more than what we did even a year ago. So go to neversettleacademy.com or just DM me on Instagram at Mario Armstrong. DM me on Instagram. But what I don't want people doing is I don't want them taking out loans before they check with me. I don't want you dipping into the credit card before you check with me. I don't want you asking for family and friends for money, and then you have to run and hide when you got to try to pay them back and you ain't got it yet. and now they're getting antsy. Now nobody believes in the dream. Like, just hold off on all that. Let's try to get the money from another source that doesn't have to be paid back. That's the beauty of the sponsorship deals. Like, if you actually can get one, it can help to fund the idea, and then all you have to do is execute on what it is you said you were going to do for that brand. You just got to execute, but you can keep your costs really low in order to do that. So you can get a higher profit margin when you keep your costs low.
I have a question for you.
Now, man. So what do you? Go ahead, Joe.
You're a really good speaker, Mario. I was wondering, what kind of training did you have? Did you have like this from trial and error, from constantly doing podcasts, or did you actually like read some books, or were you on a debate team, or?
None of it, bro. None of it. It was studying other people that seem to really have it together. So Oprah, Arsenio. I'm just trying to think of some people that I've watched over the years. Even more recently, even watching Kevin Hart interview people. I like watching Kevin. I like watching the dude. I forget the dude's name on Hot Ones. I forget that dude's name. Yeah. But just watching certain people and then asking, bro, like every opportunity that I got into, like when I got into the TV business and I asked, could I do it for free? And they say, yeah. Then I would ask them, like, you know, do you stare? Do I stare at you, or do I look at the camera? You know, and they were like, no. Just we're having a conversation. Only talk to the camera when you actually need to say something direct to the audience that you feel is really personal or needs to be intimate. Other than that, keep it as a conversation. Oh, okay, check. When I was starting to do stuff in radio, I would pick up on little things that I would read. I read that dude would put his stomach up against, like, he would put his stomach up against the back of his chair. So you have his chair, right? But he put his diaphragm like up under there, and then he would talk on the mic, and that would give him like more resonance in his speaking. So it was a deeper, more full sound. I was like, what? So I was just picking up on all these little things and just watching people, man. And then I would just watch YouTube clips, and then it was just doing it and just putting the action in. And then I would listen to myself. I would. And for public speaking, what I would do for a while is I watched myself on mute. So a lot of people will watch themselves to study themselves, but I would watch myself on mute because I wanted to see what was my body language communicating. And if I'm smiling when I'm saying something that probably shouldn't have a smile, or if my hands are too busy, then I'm distracting the message. Or maybe I should have stood still at that point and delivered that moment instead of walking back and forth across the stage. So I like to study myself, and I like to study others, and then I just do, bro. Like I think the best way is just by getting on the field. Like I ain't trying to sit in the classroom too long to learn how to catch a pass. I'm trying to get on the field and just get my head knocked off while I learn how to catch a pass. Oh, I won't run that way next time. I'm a juke and go left. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So to me, it's like the more you can do it and then pay attention to it. Like, y'all get me excited. I like to talk, as you can see, and it's been hard for me, even in this scenario, to take pauses to like let y'all like actually have a moment. And that's something that I'm still kind of working on. Yeah. Because I know I can go, but I need to let it breathe. And I know sometimes I need to step back and like let people insert. So I'm still working on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I watch a lot. You can go. I know you can go, but it'd be good information though. And so we all listening because we students right now, and we appreciate all the game that you're giving us.
Telling you.
Yeah, I appreciate what y'all are doing, man. So,
what are some things?
I mean, coming off of Chris Rock special.
What are some things you got going on?
I'm like, man.
Right now. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, man. You can finish about 20 minutes. We had a little technical difficulty right there. They got a delay.
Yeah, just a little delay.
But yeah, I seen the Chris Rock special, man. It was funny, man. He say the best for the last on his stand-up.
He say the best for the last. he definitely went. I mean, this is the man's podcast, right? We safe over here, right?
Oh yeah.
Most definitely.
Oh yeah. We say.
Certainly.
Yeah, we say.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. I mean,
you go ahead.
I just think that was really number one. Shout out to Chris for keeping it quiet for that long, because that was strategic. And I bet you, I put 101 that Dave Chappelle called him the minute it happened. It was like, don't you say a damn thing anywhere. Word that I got was that he was in the writer's room heavy with Dave and a bunch of and some other cats like that, heavy. And that's why Dave and him went on tour towards the end of last year. I think they was on tour together. And if you watch the special, you can almost hear a little bit of Dave come out and kind of like how the structure of some of that was done. Not to take away from Chris at all, but you could just kind of hear just a little bit of that different structure. At least I did. And then I'm looking at Netflix and I'm like, oh, y'all are doing the bag right now. Like the story is going to be him talking about Will and Jada and the slap and all that. And I get that. And he bodied it. And people can say what they want to say, but from an artistic perspective, he bodied it. And I could see the rage that he still had. I ain't sitting here judging whether or not he should have done it, shouldn't have done it, whether Will should have hit him, not hit him, whether he did it because of Jada. I ain't even getting into any of that because everybody got their camps on that. All I'm saying is his art form came through and he bodied that. But what's really crazy is Netflix ain't playing. Netflix about to get into this live event production.
No.
Netflix about to get into the live streaming. And the fact that they did that on the back of Chris being a black comedian, whether you can say he got white audiences or whatever you want to say about Chris, whatever. What it shows me is that Netflix is about to go toe to toe in these streaming wars, because Amazon got Thursday Night Football, YouTube got somebody else. Like Netflix already said we can't do the sports. We don't want to get in that business. So I'm like, oh, y'all gonna do live comedy shows. Y'all gonna start trying to bring up other live events. So it was just kind of wild. And then the fact that he did it in my hometown of Baltimore, I was like, damn, that's kind of cold. Because Jada from Baltimore. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, but yeah, I was peeping that Netflix game. I was really checking like how they did the pre-show, and then they did the post-show.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I was like, man, it's a whole thing they testing right now. They testing this right now.
Beta test. That's definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw it say they was live, I said, oh man, you trying something new. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want Mario for those, you said, you hit rock bottom, you and your wife, but you had your wife with you as a support system. What would you say for those who don't have a support system? They're all by themselves. Because I remember when I hit rock bottom, I got pushed out of policing for actually standing up for truth, and fighting against some things that I did see. And by the way, man, I've done everything you can imagine in policing. Got all the awards, the accolades to go with it.
Damn.
But when I spoke out against what I saw was wrong, it got so unsafe that I had to leave.
Right.
And I'm glad I did.
Right.
So, and then, the finances, I had to, everything it was a struggle for a long time. And I didn't have no one to turn to, but God, of course. So what would be your advice for those who don't have someone that they can turn to for support when they hit rock bottom?
Bro, first off, I did not know that about your background. That says a lot, bro. Like, yeah. Now I also understand why you're also fighting the battle that you're fighting and who you're fighting for and why. Like it all, like if I had a chance to dig into that story, I would understand even deeper why. Right? Like the stuff you've seen, the stuff you've been through, and the stuff gets done. It's like you've been behind the Wizard of Oz. You understand exactly what's going on. To a level that was detrimental to your health.
Absolutely.
And your well-being. And I commend you for understanding and trying to figure out a way around it, and also taking that self-preservation kicked in, but at the same time, it's still a tough decision because you got no livelihood now. Yeah. And so I think when it comes down to support, man, whew, I mean, you really said it best. It's faith. I really don't have an answer for how someone gets out of their lowest low without some form of faith. And I think the hard pill that I may suggest to people, and I'm being careful of how I say it because I don't want people to take it wrong. I'm saying this with love and empathy.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't even know if it's sometimes, if I'm being really real to what I'm feeling right now, I feel like all the time, whenever we go through something, even if it's bad, we were supposed to learn something from that. And I think that's the hard pill to swallow, because it's kind of like, so you mean I was supposed to go through that suffering? Like, I don't need, how does that rationally make sense? And it's like, I can't tell you until you end up using something from that moment in some new event that happens in your life. And unless you have that awareness that that's where that came from, you may not even recognize that that's what the lesson was that you learned. But if we are seeking to understand how, you know, when that happened to you, the questions had to be crazy that were going through your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I ask you now, and I don't know if you've completely recovered from that or not. So if this doesn't feel comfortable, don't answer it. But if I asked you now, did you learn a lesson from that? And if so, what was the lesson?
Oh, I learned a lot of lessons. The main lesson is that, man, when you know I mean, I grew up in the project, so I know tough times. You know, my father wasn't there. My father died when I was a baby, and I know the struggles of life, and I know my skin color and my demeanor, how I carried myself. As soon as I entered the academy, I dominated, couldn't be touched. Got out of the academy, I dominated in all areas, and I did it the right way. That's the key. And man, I'm gonna tell you something. I fought and put in jail some of the most dangerous criminals in Houston. And I had more worry, not about being killed or harmed in a way by criminals, but by those who wore the same badge. So it was a constant battle between the two.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you something, Mario. But when that time came, when I had to sit before the chief and all the command staff, and all that transpired with that, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I just couldn't believe at all the sacrifice they know I made and everything. Officer of the year, everything, man, everything I've done, Mario. No one, and it's gonna have to be. They're not talking about it, but Mario, the things I've done, no police officer has ever done in the history of policing. And they know that, and they still, because I spoke the truth about injustice, they pushed me out. And the only thing I learned from that is Jesus had to face and be persecuted, ridiculed, isolated, abandoned, and forsaken. He said to me, "What makes you different?" That's what the Lord told me. And he just kept me, man, through all that. That's the best I don't, before I get too emotional, but
nah, brother, I appreciate you sharing, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing. I see Multifarious Studio says deep. I appreciate you sharing, because that level of vulnerability is important for us to understand. And I'm going to say this. I don't even know you. I just met you today. And what I got from that energy, your story, and I have no right to kind of claim what I think is a learning experience for you, but I'm going to say what I think actually may be a learning experience. Part of me wonders, I even feel more than a wonder, like I would bet on this, but part of me feels like you had to go to those heights. You had to be that decorated, and you had to be that clean for you to realize you can't make the impact inside of that system that you can outside of that system.
Yeah,
but
man.
when your whole demeanor and everything was structured, I'm going to change it from within, and you did everything right to change it from within, and you did everything to get these accolades, to do what you did, to do things that haven't never been done before, and you do it within, and to still get treated like that tells me like, oh, that means his real impact is about to happen, because he could only do, but so he did as far as he could do within. So all those people that you gave a second chance to, all those people that you gave a little bit of a lighter sentence to, all those people that you gave a pep talk to that we never got a chance to see you give a pep talk, all those people that you saw that you picked up off the street and helped try to get them straightened out, all that stuff we never saw. We never saw. But you did it. We didn't see it. But I can tell you this, that impact then was felt for that moment, and you were supposed to impact those people the way you did at that time, but then you hit your max. You peaked. You peaked, bro. You hit your max. It ain't a bad thing. It's a good thing. And I know that's, I know it's gotta be tough for me to say that to you. But I see it as like, oh my gosh, bro, what is he about to actually achieve now? Because now you don't have those same limits. Now you don't have those same rules.
You're right.
Now you don't have that same structure. And now you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder like that. So what is that going to enable you to do? So now it's getting back to what's my next right step on this big vision. Let me use, you got the credit. You already got the credibility that most people don't have. Your story is the reason why this thing should actually work differently. Your story is the reason why this credibility is that much higher. It should be taken that much more seriously. And it's not about being conceited. It's not about look at me. It's about, no, you got to understand I've been to the height of that system. And I can no longer do within that system what I can do outside of it, but I had all the credibility in the world within it. But now I'm going to use that credibility and we're going to make some real change on the outside.
Man, appreciate that.
So that's how God is using you, bro. That's how God is using you. He didn't want you to become a full-time cop.
Appreciate that.
That wasn't it.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, Dr. Tina puts it perfectly. Use the power of podcasting to tell your story with no limits. I would be telling I would get my story tight. I would get my story succinct. What is your story? And I would be looking for people to help me with that, shape it, just like you saw that Chris Rock structure, whether you believe, whether you disagree with him as a comedian or not, that ain't the point. The point is the storytelling structure. And so if I were you, I'd be really working on how in less than 3 minutes can I tell my story? How in less than 2 minutes can I tell the moments of my story that you can feel the gravity of it, the credibility of it, my emotion in it, and my solution for it?
Yes, sir.
The more you share, the more you're going to find people that's going to want to help. The less you share, the less people know.
Okay.
Man, thank you for all the gems you've been dropping tonight. And man, we appreciate you coming on.
Man,
what you got coming up?
Y'all, man, I felt like I just jumped into the barbershop or something, man. I felt like we was just, we all, except I ain't got no fly fade. I ain't looking like JB. JB look like he probably the only one that got a fresh fade, man.
He's the only one. He's one of 2 people that can get a fresh fade.
I hit so strong.
Yeah, but I appreciate being on with y'all, man. So whatever I can do to help promote it and put it out there, just let me know. And if there's some other guests that you're trying to target that you'd love to have on, let me know about that. I'll see what I can do to help. But don't make it the last time. And you know how to reach me. You got all the contact info.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, what you got coming up? What's next for Mario Armstrong? Never Settle? What's going on?
Oh man, I'm cooking 2 things. I'm cooking up a new show. I'm really excited about this. I just gotta man, it's been a rough one. Like normally I can get a show idea and get it on paper and get it moving quick. For some reason, this one is like taking longer in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, I get it, but like I need to start getting some samples out there for people to taste. But this would be a new show. It's going to be kind of fast paced. It's going to be like ESPN meets entrepreneurship. So it's going to be like commentary and opinions from people that are experts in branding, marketing, e-commerce, and entrepreneurship. But we're going to be talking about like the hot headlines that a lot of people aren't talking about, like the stuff that y'all talk about amongst yourselves, but like nobody's talking about it inside of like a broadcast production about entrepreneurs.
Gotcha.
So that's one. And then the second one is I'm working on a new show that's going to be a little longer to get done unless some things happen. So it may be 2024. I was really hoping for 2023. And that one's an entertainment show. So that's more of a talk show, live studio audience. But it's going to be me sitting down with people in film, music, and basically the arts, but mostly film and music. But it's going to be a different discussion. It's going to be a discussion based around really how to break into these positions. And it's not just going to be like actors and singers. It's going to be casting directors. It's going to be makeup designers. Yeah, it'll be a lot of because that's where a lot of roles and a lot of opportunity for a lot of people is at. So it's like, how do you become a graphic designer for the next Avatar? How do you end up working for Lena Waithe out there? And like, how do you position yourself? How do you get your music to be heard and to get a syncing deal with some of these TV shows and movies? And so it's like it's really trying to uncover a lot of the things that aren't talked about in these big entertainment spaces in order to try to help people get access to those spaces.
Man, well, we appreciate you coming on with us, man. And we're going to have to do this again. And I'm going to reach out to you. We're going to be reaching out to you. And man, God bless you. And thank you, man. Thank you for dropping the gem. Thank you for preaching.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for looking out for me and asking me. I was honored to do it, so I was glad to be here. And the other thing I'm working on too, man, is I'm turning that Gold Buddy thing into an app. I got to get that into an app, so I'm looking to launch that this year, so that people can actually have an app where they can put their goals. Like y'all can share your goals with each other and hold each other accountable, and you can see like, I wonder if Tony got anything done today, or if you did get something done, when you check it off your list, then JB's gonna get a notification. And JB's gonna be like, damn, Tony over here checking things off his to-do list. I ain't got nothing done today. Let me get to work. So to get you that motivation and accountability. So I'm looking forward to launching that app at the end of the year.
Right.
Man, well, we appreciate you, man. And this has been the Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast with special guest Mario Armstrong, brought to you by CTR Media Network. And we out.
Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you, bro. All right.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. Do you think about me? Smoking on trees, sipping on Hennessy. Switching lanes, though, had to hit the high beam. Almost bit the sun, so my baby started to scream. Told her calm down, cause you know I got that lean. Gasoline in the tank, and you know I dropped the screen. Peanut butter on the seats, that's the mix that makes it cream. Getting top, effing out, we about to make a scene. You on top, we don't stop, this is what you see in dreams.
Stand still and be buried in the landfill. The wrong circles could really hurt you or get a man killed. Watch who you align with, run, hustle, and grind with. Share your ideas and choose to spend time with. Team players, or are they playing for the other side? Would they even come to your funeral if a brother died? The road to success might require no passengers, no plus ones, no leeches, and no scavengers. For real, them people want you to chill. Don't sleep behind the wheel. The devil trying to make a deal. Don't sleep behind the wheel.
There's a new sheriff coming to a city near you, and I'm well on the mission to bring the new era to policing that will change everything that you know it as it relates to communicating, assisting, helping, delivering the correct and justified acts to remove crimes and to help you as a citizen against every crime that comes against you with the solutions to impact your community, your city, and generations to come with CPIIA, Citizens and Police Immediate Interactive Assistance. I cannot do this on my own. I need your help, and we together can for certainly make the change needed for a better city, a better country, for a better future.
CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par and everlasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got.
The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is a magazine that embraces and celebrates the entire homeschooling experience. Our magazine is different from all the rest because we provide beneficial information and assistance in homeschooling, business, wellness, mental health, resources, and life. We encourage you to pick up a copy of our magazine today on Amazon.com by simply searching the Homeschooling Interactive Magazine. The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is all about impacting the world through home-based learning, helping to de-stress the homeschooling experience. Get your copy from Amazon today. CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.